Yeah, for the bioreactor design, lecture 4, implementation and control. So for today, we're going to discuss different considerations for instrumentation. What are the measurements used for, um, yeah, for these measurements, ano yung mga ginagamit natin instrumentation and use of process control information, and finally yung summary nitong process control for the bioreactor design. So we have mentioned last time, di ba, na there are a lot of probes na dapat nating ilagay. No? So from the previous discussion, meron tayong dissolved oxygen concentration, chinecheck natin yun. Chinecheck din natin yung concentration ng product. We can also check yung, if ever, yung population, no? So, um, bawat yun, bawat isa doon, pwede tayo kasing maglagay ng probe, um, and it and yung mga bawat probes din, of course, nag-i-introduce tayo ng openings doon sa ating system. So that's why we have to limit yung presence ng mga openings na yun for us to have a yung ito sinasabi trade-off between fermenter control and maintaining sterility. So parang kung naaalala niyo yung last time na kinalculate natin, no? So yung DO concentration, pumili lang tayo ng isang area from that bioreactor. Hindi natin, kung i-check natin bawat sulok ng bioreactor na yon, so dadami yung ating probe, and of course, hindi naman natin kayang i-control lahat ng area ng bioreactor. No? So kung well-designed yung bioreactor na yon at a specific place kung saan natin ilalagay yung probe natin, it should be enough. Kasi kung maglalagay tayo ng TO probe for bawat part ng reactor natin, pwede siya makapag-introduce ng um, foreign bodies, mga invasive microorganisms sa ating culture, di ba? And part din siya ng kailangan siyang i-replace, kailangan siyang um, i-maintain. So, yun yung kailangan nating i-balance doon sa ating design for having process control but still ensuring that our bioreactor is still a closed system. Yan. So, we also have to check yung leak proofing ng openings na to kung nakapag-set na tayo na ito yung mga number of proofs na kailangan natin ilagay. So, dapat hindi siya mapapasok na nung, for example, meron tayong oxygen din sa loob. No? So, baka nasasayang yung sisupply natin na oxygen kasi nga, nagdi-diffuse palabas yung oxygen instead na kumbaga humahalo yung air kung hindi siya leak-proof. Diba? So, humahalo yung air dun sa ating system, and then kung possible din na merong lumabas dun sa mga microorganisms na yun. No? So, hindi lang natin ini-stop na magkaroon ng introduction, but also yung escape ng mga microorganisms natin, especially kung um, kailangan nila ng controlled system plus hindi sila gaano safe dun sa mga, for example, mga workers ng planta. Of course, pwedeng kumapit sa kanila yon, no? Pwedeng maging pathogenic sa kanila. So we have to ensure that these openings are leak-proofs. Also, like last time, we have also mentioned that a smooth surface should be maintained kasi if merong mga rough surfaces dun sa ating bioreactor, dun usually kumakapit yung mga microorganisms na yon. And of course, kung nasa crevices sila ng bioreactor, hindi sila gaano magiging available for yung mga substrate na binibigay natin. Hindi ganun accessible yung microorganism na yun dun sa bibigay natin na substrate sa kanila. Okay? So each penetration significantly increases the probability of contamination, which should be avoided. So, for instrumentation, ano ba yung requirement natin for the probes? First, we have to ensure that they are sterilizable, preferably with steam. So, ibig sabihin, kapag sinubject natin sa steam sterilization yung ating probes, dapat hindi siya masisira. No? It should be um, thermally stable enough, no, na kahit initin natin siya, walang magiging problem dun sa ating probe. Also, it should be able to withstand not just high temperature but also the presence of 100% humidity. So, ganun sila dapat ka-sealed, no? Hindi papasukin ng water yung loob ng probe, uh, which can which can be a source not just of contamination, kasi kung kayang pumasok ng water doon, for sure kayang pumasok ng ibang microorganisms din, di ba? So if that 100% humidity then can also affect the readings ng ating mga probes. So what else? Have sufficient chemical resistance. So we have, as discussed dun sa ating sterilization na module, there are different types of sterilization, not just thermal sterilization, but also chemical sterilization. So, if we decide to sterilize these probes using chemicals, they should be able to withstand these um, harsh chemical conditions in a way na hindi ma-affect yung kanilang readings. So, in this case, if chemical sterilization will be used, um, kailangan walang significant deterioration from our probes, since we want these probes to be long lasting, and every time na magkakaroon ka ng maintenance, hindi lang naman yung probing lilinisin mo, for example the bioreactor, no? So every time na mayroon kang ganong klaseng cycle, maintenance cycle, kailangan um they can withstand those kind of harsh environment. What else? Be compatible with the limitation imposed by sterility requirement. Ito, beyond na to dun sa standard, just the um, thermal and chemical sterilization. So, if meron other way to sterilize it or to clean it, so kailangan compatible siya doon. So, what else? So, hindi lang yung probe yung important, pero of course, yung placement ng ating probe is also important. No? So, heterogeneity in a large fermenter means that concentration will be position dependent. As discussed last time, diba, dun sa ating, for example, that C1, C2, C3. So, kung malaki yung ating fermenter at meron tayong isang source ng feed ng ating substrate, alam natin na meron changes dun sa ano, merong changes sa concentration ng ating dissolved oxygen dun sa ating reactor. So in this case, with insertable probes, we need to worry not just about the probe performance, but also the probe placement. Kung maganda ba yung accurate ba yung estimation ng ating probe to for us to control, 'di ba, yung ating bioreactor. For temperature, tama ba yung placement ng ating temperature probe para malaman natin na kumbaga na-approximate natin yung average temperature ng ating bioreactor, 'di ba? So usually naman ang mahirap dito is yung dissolved oxygen and the substrate concentration. So, as discussed last time. So also, kung itong probe placement na to, syempre um, kung very exposed siya dun sa loob ng bioreactor, pwede rin siyang magkaroon ng fouling, no? So if may mga material that will accumulate around the probe, so that is another issue dun sa ating bioreactor. Kaya kailangan nating ensure na, for example, yung probe natin, kung meron kang mixing, maganda na nandun siya sa area na merong um, well-mixed uh, well-mixed spot dun sa ating bioreactor. So, na-ensure din na yung fouling is minimized. Since meron kang high movement of your substrates around the probe. So although multiple probes would be desirable for us to be able to know the or to estimate yung condition ng ating bioreactor, kailangan natin siyang um, we, kailangan nating maging careful on choosing how many probes will be there and kung saan sila. So what else? Stability for extended periods. So many fermentation require extensive periods for completion. So sometimes it will take 2 to 20 days for this fermentation to be complete. So since ayaw natin na, for example, itong mga bioreactor na to, binubuksan natin, sinakara natin. Kasi nga, meron tayong, we have to avoid yung contamination. So kung hindi kaya maging stable nitong mga probes na to for a very long time, we should choose another type of probe that can provide better stability and resistant to fouling. Yung fouling na sinasabi natin dito, yun nga, mga substrates, broth contain many proteins and other organics that significantly tend to absorb into surfaces. And also yung mga microbes, pwede silang magkaroon ng mga biofilms around these probes. So once they form biofilms around these probes, usually malaki na agad yung changes dun sa DO concentration readings natin. Kasi ang nababasa na natin is yung underneath ng biofilm na yon, hindi yung, for example, yung dissolved oxygen ng ating broth. Measurement drift should be minimized since recalibration is not always possible, especially if our fermentation would require around 20 days or more. So, that's all fermenters. Ano yung, kumbaga, bare bone natin na probes? pH control, temperature control, and dissolved oxygen control. So, this dissolved oxygen control, kung i-ensure natin na well-mixed yung ating bioreactor, we know that kahit na konti lang yung probes natin for DO, alam natin na kung ano yung reading sa isang part, we can expect dapat same din yung dissolved oxygen dun sa ibang area ng ating bioreactor. So as mentioned, san maganda yung dissolved oxygen? So pag sa sparger, sa ilalim meron tayong sparger, so dapat we should give enough time for that bubble to rise. No? So basically almost at the end nung residence time ng bubble na yan. Kasi 'di ba? Um pero yung formation ng ating oxygen bubble, it creates a bubble with high pressure that pushes yung oxygen to be dissolved on a higher level than normal. So once na mag-stabilize na yung DO concentration na yon as the bubble rises, mas nagiging accurate yung ating DO level readings. So pH control, yan. Alam natin, usually itong pH control, we can use this pH control um, to monitor din yung progress ng ating reaction, di ba? Especially if meron kang formation, for example, ng vinegar formation, di ba? So, makikita mo dun sa pH readings mo kung dun sa pag-produce mo ng vinegar, meron kang um, significant decrease sa pH. Pero kung gusto mo naman na i-maintain yung pH, for example, for other fermentation na wherein you may alcohol, so yung pH naman will ensure na the broth is at the perfect pH level. Yung temperature control naman, of course, we have to ensure na yung metabolic heat galing dun sa mga microorganisms are being contained, and that yung kanilang growth, na-ensure natin na yung environment nila for growth, and eventually yung kanilang, for example, secondary production ng kanilang secondary metabolites, may ensure natin na buhay pa sila by then. So new probes and techniques for measurements of various ions, substrate, and products are being developed and have been implemented in particular situations. Yeah. So instrumentation for measurement, so ito yung mga ginagamit natin. For parameter natin na temperature, we use thermistor, no? Very basic lang, no? Or resistance thermometer. So for pressure, we use diaphragm gauge, agitator shock power, wattmeter or strain gauge, foam, rubber sheet na electrode. For gas flow rates, we use rotameters or thermal mass flow meter. For the liquid flow rate, magnetic inductive flow meter or change in weight of additional vessel determined by load cell. So yun, minsan tinitimbang na lang yung buong reactor. Yan, or yan, magnetic inductive flow meter. Liquid level, load cells to measure amount of liquid in vessel, liquid height, conductivity sensors, capacitance probe, ultrasound. So, yan, minsan yung ultrasound, of course, nagbabago yung kapag dumaan siya sa isang liquid, di ba? Yung ultrasound, meron siyang effect dun sa, since nagbago yung medium niya, nung sound waves. Viscosity, rotational viscometer, turbidity, photometer. So, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na you can also put probes to check din yung population. No? In this case, usually, they use turbidity meters na to, kapag mas nagiging turbid na yung bioreactor mo, usually it means na dumadami na yung population. Of course, you have to calibrate that cell growth dun sa absorption or dun sa turbidity level of that specific bioreactor. So online measurements for yung concentration beyond pH and dissolved oxygen are difficult, although progress is being made under three approaches. Insertable probe, so sabihin um, meron ka dong sa bioreactor mo, pwede kang maglagay, meron butas doon na pwede mo siyang checkan ng papasukan mo siya ng probe, and then ilalabas mo din siya agad. So, ibig sabihin, that specific hole, pwedeng iba't ibang probe yung pwede mo nang magamit to check the level of different parameters natin. So, kung hindi naman doon sa loob ng bioreactor, sa exit gas analyzers natin na chine-check. So, doon, um, doon of course, yung advantage doon is hindi na tayo nag-i-introduce na contaminant doon sa ating bioreactor mismo. Kasi for example, kung naalala nyo doon sa DO concentration, we can also subtract yung oxygen concentration from the binigay nating sparger, and then that difference is usually it correspond to the dissolved oxygen concentration. Diba? So from that change ng oxygen ppm from our exit gas analyzer, we don't have to measure the DO dun sa mismong broth natin. And measurements from liquid slipstream. So these measurements, we can also use this to, for example, check the pH, yan. Turbidity, yan. So na hindi na natin kailangan, parang mayroong aliko lang doon sa broth natin. So for insertable probes, ito yung mga devices being developed. So redox potential, we use redox electrode. So, kapag nag-check tayo ng mga um, yan, metal ions, and then itong mga anions din na nitrate, fluorine, usually galing to sa mga substrates natin. No? So, ion-sensitive electrodes, specifically um, for these cations and anions. For auto electrodes, partial pressure of oxygen, yung sinasabi ko kanina. CO2 probes, activity of dissolved CO2, fluorescence probes for NADH, and biosensors naman for enzymes, antibodies, organelles, immobilized host cells. So in this case, for exit gas measurements, um, yan, meron tayong ginagamit na device when the instrument can be used for several fermenters. Main limitation is that only volatiles can be monitored. Yun nga lang, yun yung sinasabi natin na hindi sa mismong broth yung probe natin, kundi doon sa pag sa exit gas, of course, kung ano lang yung nasa exit gas, yun yung kaya nating i-measure. So kaya dito sinasabi that only volatiles can be monitored kasi gas yung um, kumbaga ini-intercept natin yung exiting gas from our bioreactor. And then doon natin i-check yung component ng ating bioreactor galing doon sa exit gas na yun. So these are the exit gases, gas device being developed. So paramagnetic analyzer for O2, CO2, thermal conductivity, or IR sa CO2, flame ionization detector, volatile organic. So para siyang inline na GCMS, no? So itong GCMS na to, doon natin nalalaman kung ano yung component ng VOCs from the exit gas. Since this flame ionization detector, we can identify the exact molecular weight ng mga VOCs coming out of these exit streams natin. So they ionize it and then they check yung uh, mass para meron kang connected na mass spectrometer doon sa flame ionization detector. Sometimes this flame ionization detector can also identify yung mga metals that are present doon sa ating bioreactor. As you can see doon sa last slides natin, di ba? Sometimes they also check yung mga metals na to. Yeah. Of course, these metals, dun sa, when you subject them to flame, di ba? Iba-iba yung color nila. Yun, mass spectrometer, O2, CO2, volatile substances. Actually, itong flame ionization detector, it's just one variant nung ano natin, mass spectrometer. Semiconductor gas sensor for flammable or reducing gas or organic vapors. So, iba lang yung way na ng pag-detect. Pero same din for the volatile organics din yung chinecheck niya. So, para naman sa liquid slipstream, so, ang match-check naman natin dito, yung, for example, yung dissolved solute, yung population, pwede nating ma-estimate. But they require sample preparation or therefore has a significant time delay. So, yun nga lang, kung hindi online, kung hindi, kung wala sa loob yung bioreactor probes natin, kailangan natin kumuha ng aliko, medyo late na yung magiging um, adjustment natin dun sa bioreactor kasi kukuha muna tayo, i-ensure natin na tama yung sample na na-prepare natin and then itetest natin sa lab. No? So, yun yung sinasabi dito na meron kang significant time delay associated with sampling and then data collection and then interpretation. So, ito yung mga devices that measure from liquid slipstream. HPLC, mass spec, and enzymatic methods or the substrate, no? In this case, glucose. So for some byproducts, you can also use din yung HPLC and mass spec kung meron tayong product formation na gusto nating i-monitor, lalo na kung mga ano sila, drug-related na compounds, pwede natin siyang i-subject dun sa HPLC. Then, if meron tayong reference material, reference na reagent, alam natin. And then, dapat same sila ng elution. Yun yung way ng pag-check natin for HPLC. So, once nakita natin na same sila ng elution, usually ma-identify natin yun as um, identical material. And then later, we can confirm if that's actually the case. But of course, kung wala ka naman ibang expected na byproduct, kapag same sila ng elution dun sa column natin for the HPLC, alam na natin na same na sila. So, how about how do we process and paano natin ginagawa yung process control information? For the data logging, yeah, we do the actual recording ng bawat product. So, bakit to important? Lalo na kung um, kinoconsume, kinoconsume siya ng tao yung ating product. So, we have to know if may mga harmful substances ba na nagpo-form yung ano natin, bioreactor. Diba? Siguro one specific example siguro if we can track the formation of methanol, kung gusto lang natin na meron tayong ethanol and then for some reason nagkakaroon tayo ng methanol which is highly toxic. So if you're aware, for example, sa gene production, um, kaya nila sinasabi, I don't know if narinig niyo yung term na gene bulag. So, yung gene bulag kasi pag masyado na maraming gene yung nainom mo, yung methanol kasi isa yung sa parang known na impurity ng gene. So, kung sobrang dami na ng gene na nainom mo and then meron yung methanol na yun, it can lead to blindness. Diba? So, if maganda yung pag-process ng material mo, may ensure mo na mababa yung amount ni methanol. No? Pero kung maganda na rin yung process mo, hindi mo na siya kailangan tanggalin sa methanol kasi in the first place, wala ka ng methanol formation. So, ito yung mga kailangan nating i-log, especially kung may mga regulations tayong sinusunod. Kung meron naman tayong product and then meron tayong i-claim na meron siyang ganitong klaseng amount ng product, so baka may minimum amount or minimum concentration of that product to be present bago natin ma-claim yung isang product na yung na um, meron siyang um, ganitong klaseng active ingredient. Diba? So if high-level control strategy is not present, data logging allows the control strategy based on exactly duplicating a particular recipe. So in this case, sinasabi lang naman dito na kung hindi natin kaya yung probe every time na meron tayong um, live na process control. So kung meron tayong data log, kumbaga mamomonitor natin yung future runs ng ating bioreactor kasi na-model na natin siya, no? Kahit na hindi na natin siya i-actively basahin yung mga probes natin, kung repeatable naman yung bioreactor at meron kang data kung paano uh, nagde-develop yung ano mo, microorganism mo, paano siya nagpe-ferment, paano nauubos yung yung substrate mo, yung dissolved oxygen concentration. So, i-repeat mo lang siya. So, pag magagawa natin na i-control siya kahit na hindi natin alam yung nangyari sa loob kasi meron na tayong past data. That's why actual recording is very important kung we don't have a high-level control strategy. Yun yung sinasabi rito. So how about itong secondary parameters, no? Use of computers has allowed rapid processing of information. So ito na yung sinasabi natin kasi siyempre marami na tayong data, no? So once we know the data ng power, data nung ito yung mga parameters natin, no? Primary measurements. Power, agitation, density, dissolved oxygen. We can also calculate yung in natin minus out, temperature, pressure, and other parameters na, no? So we can relate this into secondary parameters na very important na. So for example, yung ano yung important natin is yung important secondary parameters natin is the yield, is the cell mass, very important. KLA, yung KLA is para saan to? Para sa ano, overall transfer rate, di ba? Doon sa diniscuss natin na measurement of dissolved oxygen. So for the transfer ng ating oxygen from the bubbles na sinusupply natin to the broth. So kung ito yung nire-read natin, di ba, dun sa examples natin last time, which is also equivalent to the DO concentration. But also this DO concentration is also related dun sa amount ng cell mass natin, no? Since yung DO concentration natin, yung natitirang DO is just the difference of the overall transfer rate minus the overall uptake rate natin, which is equivalent to the ano, doon sa requirement ng ating microorganism times the population. Diba? Yung X times QOR. Kung maalala niyo yung equation na yun. Okay. Yeah. Example, cell concentration estimation from estimates of oxygen consumption or carbon dioxide evolution from primary measurements of off-gas composition and dissolved gas concentration. So, yun. Baka hindi na natin kailangan maglagay ng turbidity meter. Pwede na natin malaman yung cell concentration. Kasi, for example, you expect a certain level of oxygen dun sa loob, and then alam natin na marami pa yung nakoconsume na oxygen, then we can relate it to the amount nung dun sa population na meron yung ating bioreactor. Kasi yung oxygen na sinusupply natin is still being consumed. Diba? So, kung dumating na siya dun sa saturation level, and then yung O2 in natin is almost O2 out, anong pwedeng implication nun? Pwedeng patay na lahat ng pwedeng patay na yung lahat ng ating microorganism kasi there's no more consumption. Yung uptake rate natin tumigil na. And then na-maximize na natin yung transfer rate ng oxygen. And thus, nag-equate na yung ating C star, which is the solubility ng ating oxygen minus nag-same na siya doon sa dissolved oxygen. Di ba? So, KLA times C star minus CL, if C star is equal to the CL, you stop na yung transfer. And then, it makes O2 in equals O2 out. Yan. So, yan. I hope na na-follow niyo yung mental math na yun. You can go back to the previous slides dun sa DO concentrations natin. How do we measure um especially how do we calculate KLA? Yun yun. And paired with secondary parameter estimation, knowledge of cellular metabolism has helped solve important bioreactor problems. So then, no, yeah, for many years it was thought that that it is impossible to grow E. coli to high cell densities. Pero kasi dahil na-optimize nila yung condition that enables more E. coli to grow, di ba? And then if known, for example, meron tayong meron tayong data, for example, ng substrate inhibition. So baka before they just try um, to give more glucose, for example, and then meron ka palang substrate inhibition, it means even if you supply them with almost infinite glucose, hindi mo sila mag-grow enough kasi it already poisoned yung ano, it stops the growth na because of the ano, acetate formation galing dun sa ating glucose. Yan. Cell physiology has led to observation that this is due to buildup of toxic byproducts. Yun nga, sasabi ko acetate formation. No? Formed by when a good carbon source glucose is available in high concentration. So, since they were able to identify yung tamang amount ng ating glucose, they were able um, to increase the population of E. coli in such a way na was never done before. So dito, yan, they measure acetate concentration online. So ito yung sinasabi na we can trace some byproducts. So once na meron ka ng acetate concentration, so pwedeng ibig sabihin nun ay kailangan mo nang i-stop yung pagbigay ng glucose. Kasi ibig sabihin, yung excess glucose mo, nagiging acetate na siya. And thus, you have to reduce the nutrient feed rates in response to acetate accumulation. Yan. Currently limited by non-routine measurement of acetate. So, depende dun sa ating probe na ilalagay natin. Kung kaya natin i-measure yung acetate, then pwede yun yung magiging yung acetate formation yung magiging feedback ng ating pag-supply ng glucose. So, for example, habang wala pang acetate formation, pwede ka pang magdagdag ng glucose. And then once na na-measure mo na merong acetate, then pwede ka na mag-stop or mag-reduce ka ng substrate. Manipulate glucose feed rate based on the measured carbon dioxide concentration in the off gas, coupled with information on substrate concentration in the feed and nutrient flow rates. Yan. So, kung alam natin yung carbon dioxide formation, for example, ng ating bioreactor, so doon natin mamomonitor yung activity ng ating microorganisms. So then we can also manipulate or control yung ating glucose feed or the substrate feed rate based on the carbon dioxide concentration. So number 3, control glucose concentration with a feedback control system if glucose sensing system is available. Yan. So in this case, kung meron tayong probe, yung last time na ginawa natin, meron tayong glucose probe dun sa different compartment. So then if na-reach na yung, for example, 25 milligram per liter na target mo dun sa bioreactor na yon, so then you can start slowing down yung reduce yung nutrient feed rates. So overall, these strategies have been used successfully to grow E. coli in high cell density. So yeah, so in summary, there are trades-off between the needs of improving yung ating fermenter control and maintaining sterility. And yung sterility requirements, chemical resistance, thermal resistance, or Yan, probe placement, stability, fouling resistance, and measurement rate are some of the consideration for instrumentation. So, yeah, although bioreactor instrumentation and control are not yet fully advanced, there are improvements in several devices, which are already mentioned, no? Especially for the exit gas concentration, liquid slipstream measurements. Yun. So, para malimit natin yung um, introduction or yung contamination based doon sa pag-change natin ng probe, based natin doon sa pag-maintain natin. So, in a way, we can actually achieve a probeless bioreactor if we can first data log, no? And we can see to it na if enough yung exit gas monitoring and liquid slipstream monitoring for us to um, monitor what happens inside. So, yun yung kailangan yung tandaan dito na um, parang ano siya, problem siya na how can you measure a closed system without looking what's inside? Diba? So, lahat yun. Magkakasama yan lahat. Alright. So,